Ladies and gentlemen, this is TVP World. You're watching another edition of Break the Fake, where we debunk fake news and combat false narratives. I'm your host, Benjamin Lee, and let's get rolling. Now, China says it's neutral on Ukraine, just peace-loving bystander. No weapons, no interference, just diplomacy. Meanwhile, Ukrainian troops have captured actual Chinese soldiers on a battlefield, and Chinese companies are shipping dual-use components like microchips, allegedly for washing machines, that somehow keep ending up in Russian missiles. But sure, neutral. Outlets like CGTN and Xinhua echo the line to the West, quoting both sides using special military operation in quotation marks and wrapping everything in vague talks of dialogue and restraint. But behind the English language charm offensive, Beijing is running a very different program at home. But inside China, not sure why the producers thought I was the perfect person to unpack this story, but here we are. Inside China, the messaging isn't neutral. It's pro-Kremlin, full stop. Domestic outlets called the war a special military operation, blame NATO, and amplify Russia's greatest hits. Stage massacres, US biolabs, Ukraine as the aggressor. Leaked editorial guidelines also told Chinese newsrooms not to report anything unfavorable to Russia and to avoid pro-Western narratives. Beijing is not just picking sides, it's helping write the script. And disinformation leaks across borders through mistranslation, intentional mistranslation of Western reporting. In 2022, The Guardian published an investigation into the Russian massacre in Bucha. But when China's South Reviews translated it, they flipped the blame, suggesting Ukrainian forces were responsible. The New York Times ran a piece on civilian deaths caused by Russian shelling, yet reference news under Xinhua softened or cut those details to imply NATO provoked the chaos. Even CNN and BBC have been quoted wildly out of context to produce Chinese headlines like Western media claim Ukraine is losing. Now, when Chinese outlets refer to the Ukrainian city of Pokrovsk as Hongjuncheon, or Red Army City, they're not just using an old Soviet name. They're resurrecting Krasnoarmysk, a name Ukraine officially scrapped in 2016 as part of its decommunization push. And when Chinese media hype it up as a major Russian victory, emphasizing the symbolic weight of retaking Red Army City, they leave out a key detail. Russia hasn't actually taken it, the fighting is still ongoing, and every inch has come at a massive cost. But you'd never know that from the coverage. In the Chinese version, the flag's already raised and history been rewritten. Because that's how you manufacture neutrality. Say peace in English, say propaganda in Mandarin, and hope the subtitles never match. So the next time Beijing says it's neutral, just remember, it's not staying out of the fight, it's just speaking in two languages and lying in both. The Russian Foreign Ministry is back with another dose of Kremlin-grade gaslighting. This time, Sergey Lavrov stated with a straight face that Russia never had any intention of acquiring Crimea, Donbas, or some Novorossiya. No land grabs, he claims, just a noble mission to protect Russian people.
И в данном случае я хочу еще раз особо подчеркнуть, мы никогда не вели речь о том, что нам просто нужно захватить какие-то территории. Ни Крым, ни Донбасс, ни Новороссия, как территории, никогда не были нашей целью. Нашей целью было защитить людей, русских людей, которые столетиями проживали на этих землях, которые открывали эти земли, проливали за них кровь и в Крыму, и на Донбассе, создавали города, Одессу, Николаев, многие другие, порты, заводы, фабрики.
Sounds lovely. But in practice, this protection looks a lot like bombing cities, occupying territories, and wiping out basic infrastructure. The Russian version of saving people includes cutting off water to entire regions, turning towns into rubble, and sealing off normal life. Just look at what happened in Kharkiv on the night of August 19th. That's not protection, that's punishment. And that was just one night in one city. Across Ukraine, this protection is a daily operation. Missiles fall with clockwork precision, sirens are the national soundtrack. So when Lavrov says Russia didn't want anything, he's not denying a war, he's denying gravity. His vision of events boiled down to, we didn't mean to invade, we just accidentally flattened half the country. So, let's be clear. When Putin talks about peace, he's not negotiating, he's stalling. Every round of talks, every carefully worded proposal is just another attempt to delay sanctions, regroup, and rearm. He won't stop unless he's forced to stop. And that's why Ukraine and its partners shouldn't waste time playing Kremlin chess. The response to this kind of fake diplomacy is pressure. Hard deadlines, heavy sanctions, and major weapons deliveries, because it's the only thing that forces Putin to the table and keeps him there. Interest in the Kremlin's grand resettlement project is plummeting, despite big budget propaganda pushes and generous state funding. Turns out, move to Russia is a hard sale when the fine print includes military conscription and air raid sirens. According to Russia's own Ministry of Internal Affairs, only under 11,000 people moved to the country under the Voluntary Resettlement of Compatriots program in the first half of 2025. Now that's the lowest number in over a decade. For comparison, that number was 15,400 during the same period in 2024 and 31,700 of fall of last year, which at the time was already a 14-year low. The Kremlin tried everything. Golden visa programs for Westerners seeking traditional values, recruitment ads dressed up as patriotic adventure, and even free passports. Well, none of it is landing. And the reasons are painfully obvious. Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine has made it radioactive. The moment you step off the plane, you're handed a stack of military paperwork and the very real possibility of getting shipped to the front. All the money in the budget can compete with a basic human instinct to not get blown up. Propaganda promised a proud Russian world, but what people got was a draft notice and a trench. Remember that guy from the US who moved to Russia to escape wokeness? Yeah, it turns out fighting cultural decline is a lot easier than dodging drones. The Kremlin's resettlement pitch is a textbook case of what happens when you try to bribe people into ignoring reality. You can fund all the slogans you want, but when the options are stay home and complain about modern art or join a war you didn't sign up for, most people will pick Netflix over a foxhole every time. In the latest episode of Russia's judicial horror show, a 75-year-old pensioner has been convicted for the crime of calling Stalin a dictator and a murderer. Nikolai Dolgushin posted a few comments on Odnoklassniki, Russia's favorite social network for boomers, saying, quote, World War II was started by the dictator and murderer Stalin, and, quote, Stalin declared war on peaceful Poland. That's it. That's the offense. And just for that, he was charged with rehabilitating Nazism. The prosecution asked for 1.5 years in prison. He got a suspended sentence of 1 year and 2 months, a ban on internet use for the next 18 months, and mandatory registration with a psychiatrist. Because clearly, in Putin's Russia, saying Stalin was a tyrant is a sign of some kind of mental illness. People are calling this yet another case of creative law enforcement, where posting a comment online gets you a sentence. No internet, a psych evaluation, and a virtual badge that says enemy of the people. But here's the serious part. In today's Russia, it doesn't matter how true your words are or how peaceful your intent is. If you criticize a myth holding the regime together, you're a target. And apparently, not even Stalin is safe from being rewritten as a misunderstood hero again. And with that, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.